Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Jared Cast once again, and welcome to my spoiler-free first and then spoiler-filled review of Kinds of Kindness, the new film by Yorgos Lanthimos, the great Yorgos Lanthimos, who I've been a fan of for a very long time, and since I saw The Lobster a long time ago. And that's what we're here for. First, the Blu-ray of the day, though, is Tampopo, the Criterion Edition. This is a beautiful little thing that my friend Pauline got me. If you've seen earlier episodes, you've seen her as a guest on the show, and yeah, this movie is very, very special. It's one of my favorite movies, if not my favorite movie of all time. It follows a woman. It follows this single mother who is on a quest to become a great ramen chef, and yeah, it's also a Western, it's also a comedy, it's also all these other things. It's basically like if a bowl of ramen was a movie. It's fantastic. Highly recommended. Highly recommend you buy the Blu-ray of it because the Criterion Edition looks so good. It looks so good. But yeah, without further ado, welcome to Kinds of Kindness. This is Yorgos Lanthimos' follow-up to Poor Things, which was very successful both in the box office and in terms of critical acclaim and in its award success. Poor Things and The Favorite have kind of pushed Yorgos Lanthimos into a little bit more mainstream, not quite mainstream, he's still very weird and very out there with those two movies, but definitely pushed him more into the mainstream consciousness where people are more aware of him. But he made waves in the cinema world much, much earlier with the release of Dogtooth and Alps, and then The Lobster, and then Killing of a Sacred Deer, which were just like super disturbing, super insanely visionary films that really get under your skin and really help you, I guess, explore complex family dynamics and complex sexual dynamics, complex psychologies in really weird ways and really weird tones. And The Favorite and Poor Things do a little bit of that. I feel like Kinds of Kindness is kind of him going back to that fully. This feels like a very vintage Yorgos movie, very vintage in terms of the way the characters talk to each other and just what happens on screen. And what's happening on screen is very interesting, actually. Yorgos Lanthimos himself describes the film as a triptych, the Garden of Earthly Delights. I actually have that painting up in my room because it's very awesome. And yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about triptychs later on. But basically, these are three separate narratives with very similar casts, very similar tone, and very similar aesthetic, and some crossover themes as well. This is a triptych fable, which kind of talks about love, connection, sexuality, family, and desire, and loneliness. And this film kind of has three different takes on it. It's 244 minutes long, but it doesn't feel like it because every single story moves pretty fast, and it's a very fast paced. So, and there are three of them, so you don't really ever feel like the movie overstays its welcome. I definitely didn't even feel the length of the runtime, or I never felt fidgety. I just kind of enjoyed myself and really laughed at everything. I was disturbed at all the parts I wanted to be disturbed in. So yeah, I do think that, directing wise, this is another success for Lanthimos. I also really, really love the cast. I think the film is perfectly cast all three times. I think that's maybe his best accomplishment as a director in Kinds of Kindness, is getting Emma Stone, Jesse Plemons, Willem Dafoe, Margaret Qualley, Hong Chow, and Mamadou Ache, in just perfect roles every single time. He still has the kind of oddball vibes that you get in all of his other movies, but he's definitely, I think all of them are fully bought in to a more absurdist story. I think, with Killing of a Sacred Deer, with The Lobster, and with Poor Things in the Favorite, things are very surreal. And same thing with Dogtooth, things are very surreal. But here, it's definitely more absurdist. It's even more, what the fuck is going on? I don't know what's happening. Why are we doing this? Why? Who? What? That's a lot of this movie, and I love it. I love every single second of it. Because while you're questioning what's going on, it's also very, very funny and also very, very dark. So you're kept on the edge of your seat with a lot of the themes and a lot of the the weird social dynamics and all the weird things that happen to the characters and the weird things they do to each other. I think of the performances, I think Jesse Plemons is the biggest standout. To me, he is just. I've never seen him give a bad performance, first of all, but I think here he really, really shines in a Yorgos movie. Just I'm reminded of his performance as Gary in Game Night, where he's this kind of like creepy cop who lives next door, and he's like, he's like looking at them like, he's like, "Are you sure you're not having game night?" And I feel like that's his energy in most of the characters here. He's very dry. His performances are very, very dry, very, very low and mellow, and kind of not purposefully creepy. Every single character that he plays is very sincere. They desperately want love and are desperately lonely, but because of how lonely they are, they look at the world with all three of his characters kind of look at the world with suspicious eyes, and I really see that in Plemons' performances. So yeah, I'd suggest, if you're a fan of Jesse Plemons, if you're a fan of cinema, you know who he is, you know what he's capable of, and I think he's worth the price of admission alone. But of course, Emma Stone is another great Yorgos collaborator. I think the two of them just kind of bring out the best in each other. She's very, very physical in all of her roles with him so far, which are now, including these three, it's 5. She's done 5 movies with Yorgos Lanthimos, and I think, yeah, her and Colin Farrell are like this with him, and I really appreciate the way that Yorgos is able to frame her movement, able to give her the space that she needs to just eat up a scene, whether it's with dance moves, whether it's with her kind of like comedic running around and stumbling. I think Emma Stone is stellar in all 3 roles in Kinds of Kindness. So yeah, I mentioned that there are 3 different stories in here. One is called The Death of RMF, one is called RMF is Flying, and the other is called RMF Eats a Sandwich. The title, Kinds of Kindness, I'm not entirely sure how it relates to all 3 stories. I guess it is kind of the movie is showing you 3 really screwed up kinds of kindness. So maybe that's why. Maybe it's an ironic kind of comedic title. I don't think the film overall has like a broad, grandiose thesis of what kindness is in the human condition. I don't think that's what this movie is trying to get you to do, or get you to arrive at. I don't think there's a classical thesis at the center of it. But I do think that Lanthimos has a very powerful central idea, a very vivid idea, and uses the casts and uses his cinematographic style to really capture this grand idea, this central idea of like showing kindness in a really disturbing and darkly funny way. Yeah, the first one, The Death of RMF, follows Jesse Plemons' character, as he tries to, as he struggles with his controlling boss, who's played by Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe literally controls every aspect of Jesse Plemons' life in this film, in this piece of the film, and hilarity ensues because of that. And the second one is called RMF is Flying. It's kind of hard to tell what's happening. Basically, Jesse Plemons' wife, played by Emma Stone, is missing. They know that she's stranded somewhere on an island, but they don't know if she'll get rescued or not. And his feelings are kind of all over the place, and his perception of reality, Jesse Plemons' character's perception of reality, gets very, very twisted. And then the last one, RMF Eats a Sandwich, follows Emma Stone as playing the protagonist in this one, and she and Jesse Plemons are part of a doomsday cult led by Hong Chow and Willem Dafoe, and they, or I guess it's a sex cult, doomsday sex cult. They do everything, and they're trying to find this woman who will, who has the power to raise the dead, basically. And so the film's about their struggle to find this woman and to, I guess, interact with the rest of the world. I won't give away any of the endings or too much more of the stories. I will just say that there are a lot of very disturbing things that happen in the second and the third movie. So if you have kind of a weak stomach for that, maybe this isn't the movie for you. But if you like The Favorite and you like Poor Things, I think you will enjoy Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons' performances in this film. I would suggest you go back and you watch some of the more weird Yorgos movies so that, you know, you can maybe appreciate this one a little bit more. I, for one, really appreciate those movies. I still haven't seen Alps. I need to see Alps. I keep forgetting to watch Alps. But I've seen almost all of his other films, and this one is right up my alley. It's right up my taste. I love the performances and Yorgos' effort in this, so I do recommend it. And one more thing about the triptych idea. I will say that if they were trying to make a triptych into cinema, I think they did succeed. One thing that I like about triptych art pieces is that they're very loosely connected in terms of the subject and in terms of the themes. Basically, the main unifying ingredient is the general aesthetic and the palette. I think in this case, it's less so the color palette. In the case of Kinds of Kindness, it's less so the color palette and more the cast is the palette that Yorgos is painting with. So there is a question hanging over my head as I've digested this movie for a week. Why are these stories in the sequence that they are? Oftentimes there is in triptych art a very intentional purpose of left to right, 1, 2, and 3 in the images. Here, I don't know exactly why the images, the images, or in this case, the films, the stories within the film, are in the sequence that they're in. Because certain characters, certain things happen that make the order of it confusing. But that being said, I am glad that they are in the sequence that they're in, because the second story, RMF is Flying, to me was not as strong as the death of RMF or RMF Eats a Sandwich. I think those two were the strongest. So I am happy that one is at the beginning and one is at the end, and that the weakest one is in the middle. I think that definitely works for my viewing pleasure. That's not to say that it's weak, you know, it actually, I really, really like it. But yeah, so, you know, um, those are my thoughts about it. I do have one more thought about the triptych thing, but I'll get into it with the spoiler portion of the review. So yeah, spoilers will start here. Yeah, so RMF is alive in the second one, dead in the first one, and then still dead in the third one, and then comes back to life. So that's why I'm like tripping up. I'm like, okay, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, because I guess that means the second one would take place before the first one, if RMF is indeed the same RMF within all three films. I don't know. The movie doesn't tell us. The movie is very ambiguous about that. We're not even told what RMF stands for. So great, awesome. I like that question kind of hangs over my head while I'm watching the film. I do want to watch it again. So when I do watch it again, I'll think about that. Um, and yeah, so I think the themes in the death of RMF definitely track with a lot of very early Yorgos. If you guys have seen Dogtooth, you know that that film is about, you know, a very, very controlling father and his control over his children, how he twists their sexuality and twists their psychology through that control, and through the abuse is very, very disturbing, sometimes very darkly funny. And I think the death of RMF story definitely reminds me of that. And I thought it was kind of nice to see Yorgos kind of diving into that psychology of someone who is abused and controlled and wants to break free, but doesn't know what to do once they're free. This is something that has permeated a lot of other Yorgos movies, such as The Lobster, right? The movie is just barely getting started when he escapes from the hotel, right? There's so much that happens to Colin Farrell's character. Same thing with Poor Things, right? Emma Stone has liberated herself from her father's grasp, but or Bella has liberated herself from her father's grasp, but now what? And I think this is something that he's used to explore femininity in a patriarchal world and in a patriarchal dynamic. But here it's different, right? Here he's actually focusing on a male character who's being controlled by another man. And so I do think that the way Plemons' character kind of navigates the world after he breaks free from his abuser is very, very funny and very, very weird and interesting. And he's helpless. It's very sad, and it's very ridiculous how helpless he is. He even tries the same pickup tricks that his boss told him to do to try and pick up another woman. That doesn't work. His wife leaves him. Nothing that he owns is of any value. The only value that those things carried, that he tried to sell off, all those little trinkets and stuff, those were only valuable because his boss told them that they were valuable. They have no value in the real world. And so therefore, and when he realizes this, he's like, okay, I have no value in the real world. I have no reason to be healthy for myself. I have no reason to live for myself. I can't live for myself. I gotta go back. And that's kind of where the big joke of the film is the lengths that he goes to, manipulating and Emma Stone's character, and also manipulating other people, trying to control them, and then eventually committing murder, the very murder that he vowed not to do, in order just to earn his boss's love and respect back. And it's very, very ridiculous at the end, because the movie kind of forces you into this gross sense of relief. Like, you're like, oh, okay, he's finally safe, he's finally home. But it's still back to that toxic, controlling, abusive dynamic. with Willem Dafoe and Jesse Plemons. And Margaret Qualley in their little threesome. Yeah, very, very weird stuff. Death of RMF was very, very strong for me, especially the part where he runs over RMF. Holy shit. Uh, Going back around a second time was crazy. And then the third time. Insane. Absolutely insane. The second story, RMF is flying, is very weird, very ambiguous. Nothing we see after Emma Stone's character gets rescued can be trusted. We know that Jesse Plemons' character immediately does not recognize her, does not acknowledge her as his missing wife, found and rescued. Immediately, this person is an imposter. This person cannot be the person that he loves for some reason. He can't accept it. This results in a psychotic break, of course, which makes him shoot someone in the hand, makes him lose control, and then try to starve himself, refusing to eat. And Emma Stone's character, his wife, is very, very desperate. She doesn't know what to do. We don't know if she actually is telling the truth or not. We do know that it's pretty outlandish, an idea that there could be an imposter, that she could be an imposter. Like, why would that even happen? What would be the motivation? We know that she has eaten people on this island and has eaten human meat on this deserted island. And then we learn from her that the island was controlled by dogs who treated humans like dogs, like pets. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I'm tempted to take literally. I'm tempted to take everything that I see in this second film, in this second short or the second story. I'm tempted to take everything literally. I'm not sure that I should. Obviously this is an absurdist fable, so this shouldn't be accepted as like. So it's fine that it doesn't make sense logically, or that the ending makes sense logically. But it's still a wild ride. It's still very, very funny. The funniest scene is in this film when Jesse Plemons forces Margaret Qualley and Mamadou Ache to watch their sex tape, and they're just sitting there and he's smiling and they're like, yeah, couldn't be me, man. I don't know. I don't know how people do that stuff. But yeah, I mean there are other, the most famous cinematic, I guess, root of this is Vertigo, right? This idea of your lover being an imposter, or your lover being in disguise as someone else, and then your obsession over this. I think it's definitely been done before in cinema, but not quite like this. This is very, very turned on its head. It's also different because you kind of feel bad for both, right? I do feel bad that Plemons is as sick as he is in the head, and if his wife is an imposter and nobody does believe him, and that is literally what is happening, then I feel really bad for him. But I mean, he does get his wife at the end, if that is his wife. I don't know. And if he's wrong, if he's completely psychotic, that's even more sad, because then his wife is cutting out her liver to try and earn his love, and she dies. And it's like, oh my God, like, what's going on here? Like, this is crazy. I think that's probably more likely of those two readings. I think yeah, but you never know. I would have to see this one again. I'd have to see the whole thing again, probably to have a more concrete feeling over what's going on, just because I was so unprepared for the dog story and the weird ass ending of that much of that story. But I do like that he kind of subverts the spousal, like, psychological thriller tropes, and that and that he kind of wants feel bad for both. I think that's cool. And yeah, RMF eats a sandwich, the last one. This kind of feels like a weird and funny world, similar to The Lobster, but unlike The Lobster, I think the world is a little more grounded. This could happen, maybe. Most of it could happen. Basically, yeah, Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons are trying to find this supposed Messiah-like figure who can raise the dead. And they are very, very unsuccessful at first. I thought Hunter Schafer would be in the movie a little bit more, but she was just kind of in one scene. Great, good job, hopefully she gets to work with Yorgos again. But yeah, I don't know. And yeah, it kind of follows the quest of this doomsday sex cult. It also kind of explores more or less what the cult's about like purging contaminations by purging liquids from your body. And they go about it in weird ways by drinking water from a single source, where both of their leaders take a bath in it. So yeah, they're all drinking their bath water. And then if they get contaminated, if they have sex or get raped, then they have to go into a sauna and decontaminate themselves by sweating it out. It's very, very. I think this is probably the most disturbing because of the rape scene, but also because of the ending. Nobody really wins, and everybody's kind of. I think a lot of the themes in RMF Eat a Sandwich are about freedom and guilt and punishment and self-punishment, and everybody kind of falls a victim to that guilt and to that punishment. Even the veterinarian character played by Margaret Qualley, even her character at the end dies because of Emma Stone's guilt, and because that character feels like she needs to earn her place back in this cult. Nobody really wins, and so it kind of just like, ugh. But it's also kind of funny too. Like, it's like, oh, of course that would happen. Of course the car crashes. This character's been driving recklessly the entire film. Like, why would they do that? The dance was very funny. It's in the trailer, so that's not a major spoiler or anything. But yeah, the Emma Stone character is very interesting. She joins this cult which promises to liberate her from the toxins of everyday society, by drinking that water, by purging the toxins in the sauna, by only having sex with the leaders of the cult, with Willem Dafoe and Hong Chow, and it's very, very disheartening and weird and gross. And she finally the whole movie you kind of want her to be free of this cult and to join her family again. And then when she does join her family for one night, her husband roofies her and then rapes her. And it's like, what the fuck? What the fuck? There's no way out. And even the cult, they are actually not liberated because they are in a cage, literally like a gated community, and they're not, when they excommunicate people, it's, those people, like Emma Stone's character, they're dead to them. So she's never free. Margaret Qualley plays twins. Well, one is the twin of the Messiah who can raise the dead, and the other one is the Messiah. The twin is constantly burdened by guilt that her sister, that she's the one holding her sister back from her destiny, from what she's meant to do. So that's why she kills herself. Yeah, very heavy shit. Very, very heavy shit. But very ridiculous, very funny, because it's Yorgos and because of the way he paces out scenes and kind of paces out a shock. It is very, very it is very, very crazy, and keeps you on your toes. But yeah, those are all three stories. Those are my thoughts about the endings of all three stories. And yeah, I do recommend Kinds of Kindness once again. Please go check it out in theaters. It's been out for a week in LA, but it should be nationwide now. So watch it this weekend. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate you watching the Jared Cast. I know that we're still not on podcast form. We're for now going to be YouTube only, and I think it might stay that way. I also apologize for the lack of good sound quality. I will hopefully be fixing that soon. But yeah, it's kind of hard when I'm running the thing by myself. So. Also, The Bear season 3 is coming up next, so I'll do my next podcast on that. That'll probably come out on Monday, and you guys can watch it then. But in the meantime, you all have a great rest of your weekend. Please go watch Kinds of Kindness. I love you. Goodbye.